Hey guys, quickly before we jump into the best moments of my DA, I wanted to quickly talk about its utility, but I'll still have the video playing in the top right hand corner while I blabble on. I kind of stumbled onto the utility of it during the week 2 of session, when I casually mentioned the idea and got a big thumbs up. Essentially, my idea looks at paratext of a specific Pokemon, as well as the different game modes that aren't part of the traditional style of play, and compare said Pokemon among these different categories. In each category, I look at a different aspect of the Pokemon and the information revolving around it that is beneficial or detrimental to the play style that is being played at the current time. This has the end result of looking at the same Pokemon through 3 different contextual frames despite it being part of the same game. This leaves the viewer with a chance to look at paratext regarding the Pokemon and the game mode through a contextual analysis. Now with all that out of the way, sit back and enjoy the best moments of my DA, Poke Analysis. Enjoy. Oh boy, do I have a good one for you lot today. This big guy does it all. He's good against, well, one of the gyms and some of Hop's Pokemon. But listen, it gets better. His XP gain is medium fast. He can sweep, set up weather. He's an all-in-one package, baby. Truly a god amongst mons. You're probably wondering, what behemoth of a Pokemon could I be talking about? Well, it's Torkoal. We're doing him first. So Torkoal is a fire type with a base stat total of 470. The highest base stat in the game is 780, and that is held by only 2 legendary Pokemon, and as much as I love the big boy, he is no legend, except in my heart. His top 2 highest stats are his defense, which is 140, and then his attack and special attack sits in second place with 85. Torkoal has access to 2 abilities and 1 hidden, but in a regular playthrough you're not really going to be hunting for hidden abilities, and in this case it is actually arguably worse than his regular ones. His 2 regular abilities are White Smoke, which make it so his opponents can't lower Torkoal stats, and Drought, which sets up weather conditions of harsh sunlight when you enter the battle. Both of these abilities are quite solid in a regular playthrough, but you'll have to really use your brain if you're going to use Drought, because you may need to use a choice. Shortly after, huge plus is Torkoal is relatively easy to level up, having a medium fast EXP game, which only requires 1 million EXP points to get to level 100. Now that we got most of those geek numbers out of the way, let's talk about catching this slippery sucker, and how good he is throughout the game. I'd love to say that he is an absolute monster and can take on any gym single-handedly, which he could if you were using him in the first gym, but unless you're playing Pokemon Shield, Torkoal isn't overly great against any gym leader, despite the first gym being grass. And let me tell you why. It's because you can't catch the big guy until after the 3rd gym. Devastating. I know. And even after beating the 3rd gym, it's not easy to find him. At best, he has a 10% chance to be found in intense sunlight in the wild area in the Motorstoke Riverbank, Giant's Mirror, and Giant's Cap, and only 5% in all weathers in Route 6 through an exclamation mark encounter. Even if you do find him, he only has a catch rate of 90. And now you might be thinking, if you saw the last video, that, hey, didn't I say that the higher the number, the easier the catch rate? So 90 is pretty good, right? And to that I say, listen better, dummy. Because it's 90 out of 255. I bet you felt real silly now. So, the Nuzlocke part of this video, a lot of the information I just gave for the regular playthrough is relevant here. And not to be a repetitive Andy, I'm only going to focus on stuff that is super important to the Nuzlocke, but keep in mind that a lot of the other details I provided just before are useful here too. Firstly, in a Nuzlocke, you are very rarely going to be able to use a Pokemon with a rare encounter rate because you can only catch the first Pokemon that you run into in every area. This makes getting Torkoal in a Nuzlocke very hard. And again, with the exception of the Ice Gym, he is kind of booty in your gym challenges, especially because he's very slow, which is not something you typically want on your team in a Nuzlocke. Generally, you want something that can move quick and deal lots of damage, not something that can do a bit of damage and is very weak to 3 common types, being water, rock, and ground. He's redeemed with his moveset, however, with the collections of TMs and TRs that he can learn, if you can manage to find them before the game is over. With these extra moves, Torkoal gets access to rock, ground, grass, and fighting type moves, which makes it more used than other fire types available. There is Chandelure, who, while is a pain to evolve, its stats are significantly higher than Torkoal's and has ghost typing as well. There's also Colossal and Arcanine, who both have higher stats and wide move spreads that are learnt more naturally. The biggest advantage that these 3, for example, have over Torkoal besides stats, moves, and typings is that they are a lot more commonly found in the game, meaning that it's a lot easier to obtain them, which just makes them significantly better than Torkoal from a Nuzlocke perspective as well. So, in a Nuzlocke, his stats aren't great for the challenge. He is incredibly hard, almost impossible to find and catch with the rules that are in place. He isn't good against the gyms, and there are a number of better and easier to find fire types. So what is good about Torkoal and a Nuzlocke? Well, I mean, I guess you can learn some good TMs and TRs if you can find them. And he's good against Hop. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give my boy a fat 3.5 out of 10 swats. This is where it all comes together, boys. Series 6 VGC, this is where Torkoal can redeem himself. And I'm gonna blow your mind if you aren't familiar with the VGC on just how good he is. Let's go back to his stats. They were, mediocre at best, right? Well, with the proper EVs and IVs and a beneficial nature, this boy's stats are boosted from his base by a lot. At level 50, with 252 EVs invested into special attack and HP, and 4 into special defense with almost all perfect IVs and a quiet nature, his stats turn to this. 177 HP. Use them. No, to see Torkoal, you want to run the ability Drought. This sets up Harsh Sunlight, which boosts Fire-type moves by 50%. It also enables other Pokemon. In Series 5, Venusaur was popularly paired with Torkoal because of his ability Chlorophyll, which doubles Venusaur's speed in sunlight. Often these two would be the lead Pokemon in a battle because with the extra speed, Venusaur could use Sleep Powder to put a Pokemon to sleep almost 100% of the time, right at the start of the battle, making it essentially a 1v2, or making the other player having to switch out their like Choco. Torkoal was dominant. His moves were powerful, and his stats were great in Sun. He enabled his team through his weather control, and with the right players and setup, Torkoal could literally wipe someone's entire team on his own. And for that reason, I'm giving Torkoal a 0 out of 10. Because they fucking banned him in Series 6! Let's look at the stats. Duskull has a base total of 285 stats, and Dusclops is sitting at 455 days. This may look low, that's just because Dusclops actually has another evolutionary stage, but we won't talk about him because honestly I just don't feel like it, and because I wanted to talk about Dusclops when looking at those Pokemon. Dusclops can have Levitate as a regular ability, which means it can't be hit by ground type moves, or it could have the hidden ability Frisk, which reveals the foe's items. When it evolves, it'll grow little stumpy legs and lose those little Levitate abilities and get Pressure, which is when Dusclops is hit by a move, the PP, power points, is lowered by 2 rather than by 1. In a regular, it's possible to catch Dusclops himself in the wild in Route 8 in a non-overworld all-weather types encounters for 15% chance after the 5th gym, and it can be found during heavy fog at the Dusty Bowl, Giant Seat, or at the Watchtower during overcast, rain, thunderstorms, and heavy fog. But in the wild area, you will need to beat a specific gym to be able to catch him. So, for the purpose of this video, we'll say Duskull was caught out the snake. So before you head to your next battle in Hammerlock, you'll want to find the item Eviolite in Balloonial. Balloonally. Shadow, which will quickly reiterate about the Eviolite because it will become more important later in the video as it goes on. This item boosts the defense and special defense of Pokemon who haven't hit their final evolutionary stage yet, like Dusclops, so this is a very useful item for him. Just remember it all. For a Nuzlocke, I'll be giving him an 8.2 out of 10. Duskull is one of the greatest support Pokemon ever. Like I said before, Dusclops' base stats on his defense are quite good, but then if we do some EV and IV training, we're looking at one thick god damn. The spread that I would and have used is 252 EVs in HP, 92 in defense and 164 in special defense, and then 31 IVs in everything but attack, and a relaxed nature which is plus defense and minus speed. This leaves this big man with 147 HP, 75 attack, 178 defense, 80 special attack, 171 special defense, and 40 speed at level 50. As you now learn a move called Trick Room. This sets up an effect that makes speed order flip, so the slowest will move first, second slowest moves second, so on and so on. For this reason, Dusclops is usually paired with slow sweepers, and makes them and himself incredibly fast. There are a number of different moves that can be run on Dusclops, and it all depends on someone's playstyle and the Pokemon they want to partner up changes made. For example, Eviolite I spoke about a few times now, and that nice defense stat that he has after IVs and EVs and natures, and how he's used to take hits and set up for your sweepers. Is that making sense? Well, there's me. Dusclops' hidden ability Frisk is bad in a regular and Nuzlocke run, but in regards to VGC, it is quite impressive. Knowing which items your opponent has on their Pokemon can be the difference between a win Dusclops and a 9 out of 10. After averaging these scores together, it comes to 8.7 out of 10. This man and his little brother are monsters, and will haunt your dreams if you lose to them in battle. Trust me, I know this all too well.